We're now at week 4 of Advent, and I thought we'd do a pasta. Pasta is kind of my first entry into cooking because I spent some years in Italy and just got used to Italian cuisine, and when I came back I thought I am not going to live the rest of my life without making some of that stuff. And so I became, somewhat expert in pastas. When you cook a lot, especially for your family or yourself, you kind of settle into, I don't know, 8 or 10 recipes that you just make over and over again because you're comfortable with them and you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to check the recipe and that sort of thing. This dish is one of mine, and it starts out with a basic pasta sauce called Aglio E Olio in Italian, but it just simply means oil and garlic. And so it's olive oil and garlic, and you put a little bit of red pepper flakes in it just to give it a hint of heat, but really more depth than heat. And then you top it off with minced parsley, and that's it. It's so simple. But this is a variation on that because you can put all kinds of veggies in that. And so I'm going to put carrots and celery. And this, I would call this Italian comfort food. I never make this in the summer. It's a winter comforting kind of dish. So that's what we're going to make now. So I'm going to start by taking the skin off my carrot. And we're going to make matchsticks, which is a technique by that name. It's kind of labor intensive, but again, you can get the kids involved in this. And just cut off the ends here. Cut it in half to have manageable sizes. And so we're going to cut this into thin strips. And now when you're cutting, you want to lay these things down on the flat edge so it doesn't move on you, and it's a lot safer that way. And so I'm just going to make a couple of cuts there. And then it's still fairly big, so I'm going to cut again. You keep turning it so that you can get these things into pretty thin slices. And that one can go one more. Oh, maybe too much. Okay, so now we're just going to line them up and cut them in about 2-inch strips. And so that's what we call matchsticks. And we'll do that with the rest of the carrot here. So there we have our carrot matchsticks. Now we're going to work on the celery. There's a little bit of dirt on that. We're just going to cut as thin as we can. And then that's pretty good, but that one can be cut again. And we'll cut those in 2-inch strips. And there you have your matchsticks. A little more carrot than celery, but it doesn't have to be a perfect ratio. The oil and garlic cook real quickly, but these don't. So I'm going to blanch these in salted water first to get them softened so that they come up to temperature at the same time as the garlic. Just going to give them a little sprinkling of salt and cover it. And that'll take 3 to 5 minutes to get those softened. Next we're going to get the garlic ready. So I'm going to take a couple of cloves. I have this handy garlic peeler which I love, but you can also kind of smash them with a heavy knife and do it that way too. But this is so foolproof. For Aglio E Olio, I do it the way I saw it in restaurants in Rome. I suppose there are any number of ways to do it, but they always just sliced it rather thinly. And a lot of Italians, you know, they want to flavor the oil with garlic, but then they don't want to eat the garlic. You know, it's only there for the flavoring and then you take it out. But I love garlic and I always eat the garlic too. But it's your preference. Okay, so that's looking pretty good here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the heat and I'm going to drain that water. And then because we don't want water mixed with our oil, we're going to put that back on the burner, turn the heat back on, and burn off all the excess moisture so that we have dry carrots and celery to work with. And they're still fairly firm, but they're going to cook a little bit more once we put the oil and garlic in there. So the basis of this sauce, of course, is olive oil. And we're going to put a generous amount in there. And then we'll put our garlic in. And garlic, as you may know, burns fairly quickly, and you don't want to burn it because then you'll get a kind of a bitter taste. So you have to stand over it and watch it. But what's happening here is that garlic is flavoring the oil, and that's the basis of your sauce. And then we're going to add a little bit of red pepper flakes to that. And this is a matter of taste. If you like things a little spicier, you put more. If you don't, you put less. But it needs at least a little bit. Otherwise, you're just eating oil. And this changes it. It transforms it from just ordinary oil into something a little deeper. I call it a depth of flavor. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but to me it just seems a little bit more rich and full-bodied. I've got that oil pretty hot. I'm going to turn that off, and it's going to end up just about right. So now I've got the water boiling. Pasta is like potatoes. It needs salt. I'm going to put about a teaspoon of salt in that water. and that begins to soften quickly enough that you can get it all submerged. And that'll take about 6 to 7 minutes to get cooked. Kind of hard to know when pasta is done. I always have to taste it. Still too raw. Should be getting close now. Yeah, we're there. We'll drain it. Now you want to dress the pasta fairly soon after you put it in the bowls, otherwise it will kind of get glommy and stick. The oil is going to prevent that from happening. So a couple more ingredients for Aglio E Olio. One is you need some chopped parsley and a little bit of black pepper. And it's ready to eat. And then you just want to toss that a bit so that all that pasta gets coated with the oil. It's nice if you can get a little bit of everything in the same bite. The carrots are sweet, and the celery is just the opposite. It's a little brighter, and the two together is just wonderful.